the channel. My name is Anna and this is Isaac. Today we're here doing our first gym tour of my brother's gym. We decided to stop by today. We're going to try to do this once a month, trying to give you ideas of different things that you can put inside your gym.
Cool, so we'll now introduce you to Michael. He's going to give us a little tour of his gym.
Hello, Thick and Thin. Nice to have you. Nice to have you at my garage gym, my wife and I's garage gym. The first thing I want to show you in this garage gym is this really cool screen door over here. So this keeps the babies in and the bugs out when we are working out. That little baby gate invention down there was my wife's idea. I just engineered it because we didn't want the kids to go through the screen door because that's the first thing they would do along with the dog. So let's start over here with some of the equipment that we have. We have this cool bike erg. This was probably my second or third erg piece of equipment that I got. And we started this garage gym during the pandemic, like probably a lot of people did. I think the first thing I had was maybe some dumbbells and a rubber mat on the ground and maybe a barbell after that. And I think an air bike. Over here I have a place to put some of my dumbbells. I probably have too many dumbbells, but that's okay. And some of our kettlebells as well. As we go through this tour, you'll notice there's lots of things on the wall. They probably belong in a shed, but I just haven't bought a shed yet, so please ignore those. And yes, they drive me crazy. One of the next things to demonstrate over here to show you is the Abraham GHD machine. I mostly do GHDs. I wish I did more glute ham development kind of stuff. I probably should get into that. Moving on, this is a newer piece of erg equipment. This is the Rogue Echo bike. It is huge and heavy, but it has wheels and you can move it. Most of the stuff around here has wheels and you can move it around depending on what you're going to do for your CrossFit workout of the day. I have a erg Concept 2 rower. I was watching your channel the other day and I saw that you guys have the Rogue rower. I'm not sure what it's called, but I was impressed with its features and maybe I'll sell this one and get one of those. It seems easier to slip in and out of.
That's what she said.
Okay, other equipment that I have here in our garage gym is these D-balls, some sandbags. I started off with the sandbags first, and then I started looking at the Rogue website for these D-balls, and I fell in love.
What size do you have?
Let's see, I have a 50 pound, I have a 70 pound, and a 100 pound.
And your sandbags?
Sandbags, I have a 150 pound sandbag, and that one over there, it looks like it's lost sand over time, but I think it was like it's a 100 pound sandbag. So the difference between the D-balls and the sandbag, in my opinion, is the D-balls are pretty quick as far as, hey, you're just kind of there and you kind of roll it onto your fingers and then you lift it up. The sandbag seems to be, it's just a little bit more time as far as trying to lift it up, and you know, it moves around a little bit, so it's not as solid of a mass when you lift it on your shoulder. So it's probably a little harder to lift the sandbag. Another point to make about the D-ball versus the sandbag is, as you guys know, when you're messing around with the sandbag in the garage, there's little small particles of dust or sand that come out of it. You don't have that problem with the D-ball. Alright, so over here in this corner, I got a rack full of weights, including the change plates. There's 500 pounds of weights here. And if you notice, these weights are on this rack with the caster wheels. But those wheels are, I mean, they're good and you can move this around, but if you're going to move it around with all the weights on it, you're going to fold up the rubber mats on the ground, so you know, you'd have to take all the weights off to actually move that thing around. So we just leave this here, and we have this this rack that was built by a guy named Gil, Grumpy Gates. So what I do is I pull this rack out, and I put it against this cement here, cement pad there, and I set up my barbell, and that's where we do our squats or push presses or front squats, whatever it is, and then I put it back into this space. Eventually maybe I'd get something to put into the wall, maybe something nice that Rogue has that would maybe come out of the wall, but this is pretty good for now.
So I noticed you have the ski erg, which we have. It's not mounted to the wall. but there's a bunch of stuff around it and on it. Is this how you guys use it?
Yeah, the skier generally doesn't move from that location. If you notice, it's on this pad, this upper pad in the garage, and this pad doesn't come out enough, so I've had to put these 10-pound dumbbells under this, because when I'm skiing on this, if these dumbbells kind of aren't underneath this platform, then the whole thing will fall back. But it's a tight space, but it works for me. I have to keep everything in pretty tight the whole way up, the whole way down, which I think is just fine. I don't have another place to put it. I have thought about mounting it, but it's good there for now.
Okay, so this keeps it from not tipping over.
Yes.
Your 10-pound plates.
Yeah, that keeps it from not tipping over.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, so I see you guys have also the rubber mat or the rubber box and then a hard box. Are they both Rogue?
One's Rogue and one was made by a company, I think in Farmington, just a local company. I saw them on Instagram and I purchased it. I don't remember their name.
During COVID.
Yeah, it was all during COVID.
Okay, so I've never seen these wall balls other than today, but I'm noticing that biggest difference between this wall ball and the actual wall balls we use for CrossFit is these are not going to lose their shape. They're going to bounce when you drop them, but these are going to stay put. These are probably going to roll if you're on any kind of hill. Those will just stay. Also, the material of the wall balls are different. Also, the specs of both wall balls are exactly the same. 14-pound ball, 14-pound ball, same diameter.
But this one doesn't lose its form, and
Right.
this one loses it'll lose its shape every once
Pretty
in a while.
cool. I might just take it.
Other things we have on this in this shelf, we have your ab mats. We use this thing for what do you call them? Hip.
We just
hip
purchased this. Hip
hip
thrusters.
You got your vest, 20-pound vest for when you're doing Murph or whatever other workout you're doing. Different other kind of hip thruster things that you put on your barbell.
Okay.
People prefer different stuff. That one's kind of a pain in the butt. I wouldn't buy that one again. I would buy these. Just they wrap around the bar.
I don't know the difference, but we just bought this one and I really like it. I see what he's saying though. It's hard to get it in your lap with the bar. Yeah. Okay.
I guess if I used it more, it would
Very cool.
be better.
So I see you have the assault bike. So you've got the Rogue Echo bike and the assault bike.
Yeah, we started with the assault bike first. I think it's a great machine. My wife uses it more than I do. I like the Echo just because the calories don't roll over on the Rogue Echo bike, but on this, they roll over.
So no chance in selling your assault bike.
No, I don't think so because my wife wouldn't want to do that.
Got it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna send Isaac in to finish the rest of this gym tour.
All right, so I'm going to take you through the tour, or he's going to take us through the tour. I'll kind of ask him some questions on this half of his garage. So we'll just start off right here. Just talk us through this. Up here, I noticed that you have some kind of work done on the ceiling itself. If you could just talk us through that, and then the bar and the setup that you have here.
Yeah, sure. So bars for pull-ups, it's extra long. Two people could probably do pull-ups at the same time. And that's the attic, so that's the way the house came. And originally I put the bar here thinking that I could do ring muscle-ups, and up in the rafters I have a place where I could hang these, but I can't really fit my shoulders through the space there. So it didn't work out how I wanted. It would be great if I could figure out how to rebuild that so it's a bigger hole. So that I could do ring muscle ups, but all these really get used for would probably be ring dips and what do you call those again? Ring rows. Yeah, so that's here.
All right. So I noticed on there, in order to get your chin truly over the bar, I thought that you had built that out so that your head will fit over and you could truly get over the bar. All right, cool. Over here, I noticed that you have the bike racks and you have this easy system that moves out of the way, or they could tuck in closer. That's a pretty nice little feature.
Yeah, it is. Especially when I want to use the dip machine, I just simply push these guys out of the way, get on my dip machine, and I'm rock and rolling. Another thing that I have that we purchased for this gym is just a place to hang all the various things that we have.
What do you got in this corner?
Over here in this corner, I got 2 of each of the same weight of kettlebells, starting with 70s, and then we got some 60s, 53s, and 44s. I probably use the 53s and 60s the most. If I'm doing anything with the 70s, it would be like kettlebell deadlifts.
So on this one, why did you opt in to have 2 of each kettlebell?
I think mostly for kettlebell deadlifts.
The benefit of that, like of having 2 of them, like we just discussed, is the ability to do deadlifts. You could do press with both of them, and you have an odd object in the different hands, as opposed to just being able to do kettlebell swings or like goblet squats if you just have one. Cool. What do you got over here?
Over here, I have a variety of different dumbbells. Starting on this side, I got some 70s, 60s, 50s, 45s, 40s, 35s. Yeah, all the way down to 35s. And then when we started over in that corner, I had 25s, 15s, and 30s. So I pretty much have all the dumbbells, I think.
All right. What's your most used weight, and then your least used weight?
Okay, so least used weight for me would probably be 40s and below. I feel like I get hurt a lot these days, probably because I don't warm up. So I find myself using 45s when I need to just like warm up before doing the 50s.
Okay.
And the 70s, I haven't used those in a while, like I said, because I've been hurting myself. But 70s I'd probably use for more like dumbbell press kinds of things.
And so in your garage gym, what kind of workout do you use the most? Like, do you do CrossFit, bodybuilding? With these is like what?
Okay, yeah, I do more CrossFit than bodybuilding.
Okay. So on that one, typically in the CrossFit world, RX usually is 50s for the males, 35 for females, and then there was a point in time when 70s were used a lot, and I would imagine that's when you got those, because there used to be a lot of dumbbell snatches when they first came out, and then 70s was a big one. I remember that.
Yep, and
I challenge.
I did used to use the 70s a lot, but I think that's the one that hurt me on the way down. I was a little too sloppy on the way down, and that was the end of that.
Okay. All right. I see the setup that you have here, the crossover symmetry. If you can, just let us know. I personally have it, but I like this setup. If you want to just walk us through that.
Yeah, so crossover symmetry, there's some instructions you follow to set this up. You got some anchor bolt. You got this thing anchored here, and you got one anchored below, because when you follow the directions, you use both high and low, depending on what you're trying to warm up and how you're doing this. But you're here, you pull them, you step away, and you kind of warm up your shoulders and your back and your lats. And it's really helpful before starting your workout. Over here I have the Rogue 45 and 35 pound bars first. So over here I have the Rogue axle bar. I used to use it more than I do now. I guess I haven't seen it in workouts that I look at these days, so I haven't used it. This piece over here, it's called Torque Sled, and it's the Thicc M4. I believe the torque and how it works is based on magnets inside here on each side. Depending on which way you're pushing, you have these different levers so you got these different levers. Neutral, there's, it's really easy to push. 1, a little harder, 2 harder, and 3 the hardest. And it gets pretty difficult. I usually take this over to the park across from my house and just push it back and forth. You can also connect it to a harness, a sled harness, and just do all kinds of different exercises with the torque sled.
One of the key things that he brought up was the sunshade. That's pretty cool. If you look on here, these rails right here, it'll just come up so you could fully open it, so you could actually keep it open and use the garage if you needed to drive in. And then up here, just like our house, it's insulated. Is there windows on the other side of this?
No windows.
Okay. So we do have the insulation, kick the heat in or the cool in during the summer. And then over here, walk us.
Yeah, over here, I think we started out with just a fan. I had a fan, and then I had these misters kind of engineered around the fan, and I would turn the water on and to cool the place. But then I was like, oh, that's too complicated. And I purchased this dude on probably Amazon. It works really well. I've probably had to replace the pump a few times, so I always make sure I have an extra pump on hand. It's really easy to replace. It keeps the garage really cool, unless it's like raining outside or something.
Well, this is an evaporative cooler, so water just constantly runs inside of it with that little pump, and then it just pulls the air through that. So here in New Mexico, that works really well with the dry heat. If it was in a humid area, this, like he said, in the rain or any kind of humidity, this wouldn't work at all.
Right. I've had it for about 4 years, and I've changed the pads one time.
So if you live in an area where it's dry heat, you definitely want to look into an evaporative cooler.
So this piece is an assault runner. It generally doesn't move from where it is when it's winter outside and we want to move this screen door up. You can see the screen door has a door, so my head fits right inside the door. So it's in a perfect spot. It's out of the way of like barbell work. If we're going to do barbell work, it's going to be over here. So again, it doesn't move, and I probably use this often, I would say. And then over here, I have these things called brick bags, 35 and a 50. Those are good for, I use them for lunges or air squats, just something to add an odd object onto your body when you're working out, doing your CrossFit stuff.
Cool, that's the first stop of our garage gym tour. We're gonna go to all of our friends that have a garage gym setup, and then we're gonna just show you the different options that you have available to you, kind of what works for them, maybe some different equipment that they have, and hopefully you guys can pick something up where you really like. So if you guys have any questions, make sure to ask in the comments, and we'll be sure to get that answers for you.
And we're definitely going to do another review or more detailed review of the Torque sled.
Yeah, so if you're interested in the Torque sled, we thought it was really cool. We know that like high rocks and the hybrid athlete movements is really like big right now. So just with something like that, the Torque, you're not gonna like screw over the neighbors with these loud screeching noises. And then you have the assault runner with the ski in the back, and then you also have like everything that he has. So technically, if Michael wanted to become a high roxer, he has everything he needs.
Good point.
He has everything except for the engine to carry him through the fitness test.
All right, thanks for coming to our channel today. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Till next time, bye. Like and subscribe.